This is a powerful way to retain employees who just sit around with these certificates that become worthless after a time. So by giving them some level of liquidity for those shares before IPO, they're actually able to give some cash out back to these people who have these certificates. I think it's a good idea for a lot of these startups that are sitting around offering stock, which really is worthless until something big happens. This is a little sub-market that exists through sites like Facebook, where you can trade your shares with someone else and hopefully walk away with some money. 15 companies have signed up since April to an online exchange run by Second Market. And this is one that helps employers and shareholders of private companies find buyers for their shares. So it is legitimate. This is not a way to do anything underhanded. It's just that something like this hasn't existed before. And by the way, it is working. I mean, there's been over $5.7 billion that changed hands last year and $850 million that changed hands in 2005.
You know, Second Market, actually, I am aware of them. They are the ones that buy, they're actually agents. They don't buy nothing. Somebody wants to sell, somebody wants to buy. It can be real estate, it can be shares, it can be many other things, including parts of businesses. These guys are brokers, so I understand Second Market.
But I do think it's a good way to get some money back out of that investment. And a lot of people who work for startups end up frustrated after a period of time because they just simply don't get the return that they were expecting or hoping. And this is one way to at least get them some part of that back.
You know, the biggest question on everybody's mind is, when do you tell that the economic recession is over? Well, Post on its front page says, the day the men will start buying underwear is the day the recession goes down. How about that?
Well, I guess men and their vanity comes last, and so it would be last on their economic priority. But that is kind of interesting. I wouldn't have thought that that would be a gauge of when the recession ends.
Alan Greenspan says MUI, Men's Underwear Index. He believes in it. You know, I mean, it makes sense, really, because this is something that you don't need to buy when you're now feeling spendthrift. But when you're spendthrift, you go buy some of these designer underwears that nowadays cost $20, or those compression underwears.
That's right.
Or enhanced underwears. You know, all of that, in good time you buy. In bad time, boxers, whether they're frayed or colorful, that's okay.
So you're telling me there's a whole lot of CEOs walking around with holes in their underwear. Is that what you're telling me?
There are. They're the only family men because they know they will not take their pants down anywhere.
I'm not touching that one. But here's a number that probably will scare the pants off of you, because it scared the pants off of me, and I'm not even I don't even have kids yet. Did you know it costs more than $220,000 to raise a child? And that's before paying for college. This is an article out of Time magazine, and there's a site you can go to. It's called babycenter.com, and it offers you a calculator that helps you determine the cost of raising a child. But you know, there's some interesting statistics in this article. For example, a typical family will spend about $221,000 raising a child through age 17. That's 21% more than families spent the year that the author was born, which was many years ago. So the cost of raising a child has gone up. Even though food and clothing are cheaper, health care is a lot more expensive. So that's where the balance comes in, and that's why it's much more expensive to raise a child. But it's also true that parents who have more than one child get a bulk discount. People with one child spend 25% more per child, but if you have two or three, you spend 22% less on each one.
But you know, maintaining, when you go from one child to two, it just doesn't double. It triples the maintenance. And you go from 2 children to 3, you might as well not have another life for a little while.
Well, you know. Of course, now there's many more technology gadgets, and you know, those of us that live pretty much well-to-do lives, it's all about fashion. And of course, the author does make a tongue-in-cheek point that, you know, daughters are especially expensive, and the more you pay out for clothes, the less they seem to wear.
That's right.
Well, funny article.
India has arrived in the world of cinema, folks. The Hollywood and Bollywood are now going to be operating at both coasts, one in Bombay, one in Hollywood, California. Now, everybody knows by now that Sony Pictures, the 20th Century Fox, the Warner Brothers, and now Steven Spielberg, all of them are invested and have offices in Bombay, and Subhash Ghai and the others have offices here in Hollywood. Now, interesting thing is happening up until now. You know, Indian cinema copied American stories.
We took themes and ideas
Yes.
from Hollywood.
They stole the ideas and made the movies in which there was a lot of song and dance and sort of confusing, but the storylines were very similar to Bollywood, and they never cared. But in this year, they have started caring. They filed a lawsuit. They filed a lawsuit about a movie called My Cousin Vinny. And in Hindi, it is called Banda Ye Bindas Hai. They won $200,000.
Wow.
And of course, Harry Potter, they lost that particular lawsuit. But you know, everybody is now aware, and some of the people are saying, I am so glad to see that. You're right. There are plenty of writers in India. They reside in villages and the other places. They never get an opportunity because these guys, you know, they steal.
They take a formula that has worked overseas and they try to implant it in India. You make a good point. I do think that it'll teach Bollywood the right way to do things. And I think that there's enough creativity there. And I think Bollywood can still license these things. They can still go about it the right way. There's enough parodies we make right here out of Hollywood. Why can't Bollywood do the same thing?
Subhash Ghai said the same thing. From now on, we'll pay for the rights.
Absolutely.
You know, and we'll steal legally.
You will borrow permanently. I don't know if you've been watching the International Film Channel, but there is a great little series called Bollywood Hero, and it stars Chris Kattan. The premise of this little mini-series is that he's an out-of-work star in Hollywood, can't find a job, so he goes to Bollywood to become a big Bollywood star. It's a parody, and it's a spoof, and it's kind of tongue-in-cheek comedy also. Think of, applying something like Scrubs to the idea of creating a Bollywood movie overseas. It's done by American producers, but it makes a fun of Bollywood and how we do things. It's hilarious. It's about, I think it's 3 nights long, and if you watch IFC, you can see a rerun of it. It was actually quite good, and I thought Chris Kattan was quite good, and so were the Indian actors, and I hope they put more productions like that together.
That reminds me to inform people that there is a society called Indian Cinema Society that's being built right now. For those of you who are cinema buffs, you want to watch classic movies, you want to watch movies that are well made, and you want to talk about it, you have knowledge of it. Well, Indian Film Society is being made right now, and if you're interested, write to Darshan at darshantelevision.com, and we'll get you in touch with these people.
Sounds good. I guess I should put my submission in now.
Yes! It's going to be associated with a university. It's going to be a big deal. Very nice.